Hey people, it's Ernst talking. Now this is another Black Inventors video. I would like to thank an Instagram page called African Archives for posting about this. Now the source I'm using right now is blackhistorymonth.org.uk. Now because of YouTube restrictions, I won't be able to post this in the links, any links to it, but I'm reading out the source. And of course, if you just web search Ernst Matzeliger, you'll be able to find this. Let's start. It may be difficult to see how the inventor of the shoelacing machine changed the dynamic of the Americas, but Jan Matzeliger's invention proved to turn South America's underdeveloped workforce into a capitalist paradise at the turn of the 20th century. Matzeliger was born in Paramaribo, the capital of the then Dutch Guyana, now Suriname, on 15 September 1852. His father was a wealthy and well-educated Dutch engineer of German descent living in Dutch Guyana, and his mother was a black Surinamese slave of African descent. At the age of 10, Matzeliger was apprenticed at the machine shops run by his father, where Matzeliger developed an interest in machinery and mechanics. He had some interest in mechanics in his native country, but it was only after settling in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. At 19, after working as a sailor, Matzeliger turned his interest of machinery and mechanics into a career once he began working in a machinery shop. By 1877, he spoke English to an adequate level and had moved to Massachusetts. The world-changing invention. In the early days of shoemaking, shoes were made mainly by hand. For proper fit, the customer's feet had to be duplicated in size and form by creating a stone or wooden mold called a last, from which the shoes were sized and shaped. Since the greatest difficulty in shoemaking was the actual assembly of the soles to the upper shoe, it required great skill to tack and sew the two components together. It was thought that such intricate work could only be done by skilled human hands. As a result, shoe lasters held great power over the shoe industry. They would hold work stoppages without regard for their fellow workers' desires, resulting in long periods of unemployment for them. After a while, he went to work in the Harney Brothers shoe factory. At the time, no machine could attach the upper part of a shoe to the sole. This had to be done manually by a hand laster. A skilled one could produce 50 pairs in a 10-hour day. After 5 years of work, Matzeliger obtained a patent for his invention in 1883. His machine could produce between 150 to 700 pairs of shoes a day, cutting shoe prices across the nation in half. So we have to thank this black man for making shoes accessible to people all over the world. And when people keep saying black people have not invented anything, they keep talking about, you have got this at the white man's behest. No, the very shoes on your feet that you're wearing are there because a black man made it possible. The fact that you're not having to pay a fortune. You know how people talk about the Air Jordans cost a fortune, like $500 or something? That would probably be the average price of any pair of shoes if it were not for this invention. He sacrificed his health working exhausting hours on his invention and not eating over long periods of time. He caught a cold which quickly developed into tuberculosis. His early death in Lynn, Massachusetts from tuberculosis meant he never saw the full profit of his invention. He died at age 36 on August 24, 1889. And this is another thing. You know, black people are kept out of the healthcare system by racist techniques, and they end up suffering early death, like Mr. What's his name? Matzeliger. So, there's another thing. Black people work hard, contribute to the system, and then they die prematurely. So in many cases, they can't even enjoy the pensions they contribute to, or the inventions they've contributed to the world. He would be a very rich man if he had been able to profit from this. Jan Ernst Matzeliger's invention was perhaps the most important invention for New England. His invention was the greatest forward step in the shoe industry, according to the Church Bulletin of the First Church of Christ, the same church that took him as a member as part of a commendation held in 1967 in his honor. Yet, because of the color of his skin, he was not mentioned in history books until recently. In recognition of his accomplishment, he was honored on a U.S. postage stamp on September 15, 1991. Jan Ernst Matzeliger's patents, reading number 274,207-3/20/1883, automatic method for lasting shoe. Actually, I'm not going to read all this out. It's quite tedious. You can just look at the source listed. blackhistorymonth.org.uk, Jan Ernst Matzeliger. So anyway, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.